It feels as if the entire environment around crypto, when it comes to regulations and the moves made to really clear the entire obstacle from crypto being on the other side of the gates, from institutional adoption at scale, enterprise adoption at scale, all of those obstacles are now getting removed. And it all really begins with the complete 180 that the SEC has made this year. Now, when we are addressing that, we do have an upcoming event. This is with the SEC and the CFTC. We'll be hosting a joint roundtable with the CFTC on September 29th to discuss regulatory harmonization priorities between our agencies. This is a very big deal because this is something that we have been addressing happening for quite some time now. And within this, I mean, they don't give us too much at all. There's no information at all with this. There's a press release regarding this, right? Like, this is the actual press release. The main thing that we're looking at here is just digital assets, right? Because it's a new day at the SEC and the CFTC, and today we begin a long-awaited journey to provide markets the clarity they deserve. They don't mention specific markets, but we do know that it's crypto because they start to mention it down here. That Tuesday's joint staff statement on spot crypto asset products is only a first step. To the extent possible and appropriate in the public interest under existing statutes, our respective agencies should consider harmonizing product and venue definitions, streamlining reporting and data standards, aligning capital and margin frameworks, and standing up coordinated innovation exemptions using each agency's existing exemptive authority. So we are now witnessing these two organizations working together to ensure we have regulatory frameworks and a harmonized approach to crypto. This is a very big deal. It's also at the same exact time that we just got a big update. Here we have from Eleanor to Red that new acting CFTC chair Caroline D. Pam has announced an initiative to let stablecoins be used as tokenized collateral for the first time in US derivatives markets. This is massive. Derivatives are not a $1 trillion business. They are a $quadrillion business. The move follows the February crypto CEO forum where this idea was discussed among leaders of all the major stablecoin firms and also builds on the president's working group recommendations. The CFTC is seeking public feedback until October 20th on valuation, custody, settlement, and rule changes needed to make tokenized collateral work. And I don't think that I need to mention this, but big shout out to Zach Rector 7 for this. RLUSD already was set to be the collateral of Hidden Road, $3 trillion per year. And now we get this announcement with Ripple's institutional partners, RLUSD is about to explode. Because again, we already know that within that Hidden Road announcement, right, RLUSD was going to be utilized for collateral for the derivatives market with Hidden Road. So now this essentially confirms that stablecoins like RLUSD are about to witness significant growth and adoption, most likely in the US. Now, beyond this, we also have over here that US lawmakers ask SEC to implement President Trump's executive order opening up the $12.5 trillion 401 retirement market to crypto. This might sound too good to be true, but guess what? It is real. We got the announcement over here from the Financial Services GOP. This is that announcement that they sent the letter to the SEC Gov. Chair Atkins supporting President of the United States' recent executive order allowing 401k investors to access alternative assets and urged the SEC to implement the executive order, which at this point, this is most likely going to get greenlit, right? Because we know the SEC is extremely bullish on crypto at this point. They are starting to work towards making sure that crypto has that framework around it and the clarity that it deserves and needs. Now, on top of this, September 30th, the biggest upgrade to the US Treasury happening on September 30th. Big shout to Echo the Truth for this, but this is that announcement from March 25th of this year titled Modernizing Payments to and from America's Bank Account. Now, the announcement around the September 30th is Section 3, which is phasing out of paper check disbursements and receipts. This is going to be effective on the 30th, and to the extent permitted by law, the Secretary of the Treasury shall cease issuing paper checks for all federal disbursements, inclusive and intergovernmental payments, benefits, payments, vendor payments, and tax refunds, except as specified in Section 4 of this order. Now, when we are thinking about this, there's a lot of things tied back to this. The main thing that we're focused on is this part, which is Section E. The Secretary of the Treasury shall support agencies' transition to digital payment methods, including by providing access through the Department of the Treasury centralized payment systems to direct deposits, debit and credit card payments, digital wallets, and real-time payment systems, and other modern electronic payment options. This, combined with everything that we're now seeing from the SEC and the CFTC, is confirming that the US is about to go all in on these crypto projects. And yes, we are 100% looking at Ripple and XRP, because when it comes to Ripple and XRP, it's a completely different environment for Ripple and XRP compared to some of these other digital assets, because we got to remember that Ripple is not just your ordinary crypto business, right? XRP is not just your ordinary digital asset. These two are very special in their own way. I've talked about it on multiple occasions. Now, also during this entire time, Clarity Act. Big shout to Riz XRP for this. Also, big shout to Tony Edward, Thinking Crypto 1, because he recently did an interview with Tom Emmer, and that's exactly where this video clip is coming from. We have the golden age. Digital assets will see massive growth when the Clarity Act becomes law. Check this out.
It picked up a lot when everyone around the world heard Donald Trump saying, we're going to make this country the crypto capital of the world. It's a new day, and he's going to move everything forward. He wants the U.S. to be open for business again. Well, as soon as that happened, you started seeing stuff in Japan and China and on the other side of the Atlantic. All these different countries were like, no, we're the best. We are the best, and we will be the best now that we've got Donald J. Trump making sure that everyone knows that our goal is to be the best. As we started getting our act together legislatively, not just his executive orders, but Genius and now Clarity. As we do that, Tony, just watch this place. There are so many innovators and entrepreneurs who want to be in the U.S., but they just, the way people like Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren and all these people treated them, the Biden administration. I heard a great comment when we had the first Digital Assets Summit at the White House. One of the guests said, you know, who could have ever believed we'd be sitting here today in the White House? A year ago, if you would have told me this would happen, I would have thought we were more likely to be in a jail cell.
Yeah.
It's changed dramatically.
And yeah, we can obviously see that. I mean, the entire space has changed drastically since then. But also the Clarity Act, right? The Clarity Act is so important to focus on. We also got a big update from Paul Atkins regarding this, which is Clarity after Genius, law incoming. Here we have the video clip.
Particularly when it comes to the complexity of crypto market structure. And I want to get your take on that, Mr. Chairman, because the Senate Banking Committee has indicated that the committee is going to delay a vote on market structure legislation until the week of October 20th to give Democrats more time to negotiate. Of course, it looks like the Republicans will need the Democrat support to get this over the finish line. What is your expectation for the crypto market structure? What do you want to see play out once that does pass the finish line?
Well, I'm looking forward to Congress acting on this. I think it's important that we have a market structure bill, and we are actually helping. We were helping with the House, and now we're helping with the Senate as far as technical assistance on questions of securities law and that sort of thing, and gaps that we see that need to be filled. So we're going to continue doing that and provide all sorts of assistance. We're also part of the President's Working Group on Financial Markets that came out with a report here about a month or so ago, and so we're really stand behind that report, and so we want to see this get over the finish line, because the Genius Act, which was enacted by Congress and the President back about a month ago or so, I think was a huge step forward that applied to stablecoins, and that's the first time that the United States government and the United States as in statutory form, has recognized a digital asset like stablecoins. So I think that was great. And now we need to focus on the market structure aspect so that there is certainty in the marketplace and direction to the SEC and the CFTC to work together. I anticipate joint rulemaking, and so that way we can try to future-proof this sort of these rules and the relationships from some rogue regulator or something in the future.
Yeah, there was
our goal.
Wide support for that Genius Act, absolutely. The SEC approving the nation's first multi-crypto ETF as well, letting investors access a basket of cryptocurrencies beyond Bitcoin and Ethereum. Mr. Chairman, how is that fitting into your broader effort to create clearer rules for digital assets?
Well, that's another example of how we can move forward. We can allow generic listing standards, is what that big step was, where there's more certainty. It's not just an ad hoc type of approach, but we're trying to give the marketplace some kind of stable platform upon which they can introduce new products. So that's a great example. We're going to be working on that. We'll be doing rulemaking in the coming months. We're looking for an innovation exemption to try to get that in place by year end. So there's a lot going on, and I'm really very excited about this opportunity to make this industry in America stand on firm ground so that America can lead with innovation as the president's called for.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, listen, it's just crazy that we are witnessing these discussions ongoing on mainstream media. Like, if, again, I kind of go back to the statement that Tom Emmer said, we go back a year ago, this was never happening. So the fact that this is ongoing now shows us that things are advancing. We're starting to see regulations becoming a reality. We're starting to see the market fully mature. And this is extremely bullish for projects like XRP and for companies like Ripple, because we will witness a much larger push in this market for those types of projects. And we will start to see a lot more value flow in onto those networks as well and around those ecosystems. And I really do think that it begins once we start to see these things like the Clarity Act get fully passed through. And it kind of feels as if the SEC is working with the CFTC to make sure that this becomes a reality. And if we're thinking about the US adopting stablecoins, we look at RLUSD, right? RLUSD is definitely up there. We got to think about it like this. Okay, RLUSD launched roughly, it's less than a year ago. It's already at $750 million worth of total value. RLUSD itself, when we go over here to the announcement, we could see all of the breakdowns behind it. It's held to a higher standard because no other stablecoin in this market is even close to RLUSD, in my opinion. And yes, that does include Circle's USDC. And that's because when we think about RLUSD, it's completely compliant. It has all of the crucial licenses behind it as well. And on top of that, it's supported by almost every single market in this space. And we think about the advisory board, right? The advisory board, in my opinion, is like the biggest thing that sets RLUSD, apart from all of the rest. Like right off the rip, we have Sheila Bair, former chair of the FDIC and the founding chair of the Systemic Risk Council. And then you also have a few other names here, including the former first vice president and chief operating officer at the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston, and then the former governor of the Reserve Bank of India. I mean, RLUSD is a completely different beast of a stablecoin, and it feels like we're starting to witness that big boom around stablecoins being tapped in and plugged into the US financial system. So I think RLUSD 100% deserves a mention here. I think that it is probably at the top of the list for a stablecoin to be integrated within the US around specific things like, for example, derivatives, because this is a huge announcement from the CFTC. And I think that this is going to also lead to stablecoins growing in a much larger way. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because I'm free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, this has been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.